As you remember, this P38 came slightly damaged. Now, I will say this, my plane, one of the tail fins is kind of bent, as you can see. I'm not going to really make too big of a deal about this. That is kind of unfortunate because I really, would like to get a plane that is not damaged. So what I did was I took that piece of metal I showed you guys in the last video, and I put it on the tail here, and here it is. And in fact, I actually had to let this thing end up sitting for a week because it was bent really bad, and I kind of wanted it to straighten out without, flapping over and whatnot. So we have the splint on it right now. Let's take it off and see how well we've done. Now what I did was I put some masking tape on here. I didn't want to tear anything up. So there we go. Okay. So there you have it. As you can see, it straightened the tail out and it's nice and firm now. It's not flapping much anymore. Seems to be pretty firm. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this thing to the field. What's the current wind speed?
The wind's blowing at 3 miles per hour, west, right now.
I've been waiting on this. Not bad. Let me see if this thing, I don't have any trims or anything like that. Okay, it appears as though one of the props came off during that crash landing. Note to self, never leave the crash site unless you look at your plane. And as you can see by my plane, I lost a prop. So let's see if we can find it here, and we'll be right back. Alright, so now we're back at the workshop. Here's the problem, folks. It appears as though I can't give you an accurate review on this plane. It doesn't seem to have any problems as far as its airworthiness, but as you guys saw when I unboxed it here, and then when you look at the crash that we just had up at the field during the maiden flight, which, by the way, the wind conditions were perfect. It just really, I don't know what happened. Well, eventually I found out what happened because I walked around that crash site for like 15 minutes and I couldn't find my prop. And that's kind of unusual, especially with a plane like this. When you lose your prop, it's going to be within a couple of feet. And I literally did a circular pattern, like a surge pattern, like outward. And I just didn't find it. So then I went home. Luckily, I'm down the street. I went home and I got my spare kit. And what you guys might want to pay attention to is, yes, you do get 2 props, but there's 1 prop for each side because the blades are a little bit different for each one. And even the book, the instruction book, points that out. Because if you put the wrong blade on the wrong prop, this is going to happen. So if that does happen, chances are you just have your prop like on the wrong side with this particular dual motor craft. So anyway, I go home, I get the spare parts, and so I put the right prop on. And the same thing happened again. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The wind conditions are great. I'm a decent pilot. What's going on here? So I searched again, another 15 minutes, never found that prop. So now I can't fly at all. So I'm gonna have to end up going on the internet and seeing if I can find another spare kit, or I can't even fly this plane because you need the correct prop for the correct motor. So, with that being said, I would like to point out that my particular craft, as you saw with the tail, and then what you just saw, I came to the conclusion that what happened was, since it was coming from the same motor. Hang on a second. Let's all right, since both crashes, so-called crashes or whatever, occurred and the same prop kept coming off, I'm thinking, you know what, this thing it had to have come off during flight, because the other one, you know, it never came off. And again, I've never had a 2-channel glider where a prop came off in a soft landing, so that can only lead to one thing. These things are they need to be checked over. When you get them, check them. And what I would strongly recommend is you get you some hobby glue. And here, I'll show you what I've got. Hang on a second. My go-to glue is the super glue fix all adhesive. This thing works wonders, and I kind of use it for all my hobby stuff. So anyway, what I would recommend when you get this plane, provided that your tail isn't messed up, and you don't have to do any repairs out of the box like we did, I would strongly suggest you get you some glue and just take your props off and glue them on. Let them sit. Don't be in a hurry to fly this thing, because you're gonna end up like me, where you actually, you know, couldn't even get a, you know, just a good feel for the plane, and then all of a sudden now you don't have any way to fly it. So right now we're gonna go online, see if we can order some parts for this thing. I had some points I wanted to say during the video about the P38, because you know, I really love this plane. During World War II, this was a very important plane. And some of the things I was going to go over, which I don't know if you care about or not, but this plane, especially during the early days of the war, it was like just priceless. And some of your top fighter aces from the United States actually flew P38s. I mean, these things were important in the Southwest Pacific. You can look up, I don't know, what's that island, Rabaul or whatever, something like that. But you can look up like just a lot of incredible things these planes did. Let me just tell you, these planes, they were not just tremendous like at flying, but they were great at diving. They were like dive bombers. They were good attacking land targets, air targets, targets at sea. Like I said, they were important in the Southwest Pacific. These planes flew at like 40,000 feet, and that was not common, especially during the early days of the war, where most of your fighter planes, what were their ceilings, like in 29,000, maybe at the tops or something like that. I don't know what the BF-109 or the Spitfire did, but you know, these planes were incredible. And not only that, but the range on these planes. And see, if you think about it, like during World War II, you know, in a lot of armies around the world, you know, you either had bombers or you had to have fighters, you know, escorting the bombers, or you can be innovative like the US did, and you can get like your flying fortress, where we were just like massing guns, you know. And that was until the extended fuel tanks came on, the P51s, you know, so they were able to escort the bombers farther. But then when you needed a plane that can just do all of that, getting back to the P38, this thing had a range of about 2,000 miles, you know, and that, in my opinion, was just incredible. And it was just a priceless tool. Look up the history of this plane. Sorry it didn't, my version didn't work. I'm sure it flew great, but as you guys can see, I'm just having this, I don't know, it's probably just a limit. But when you get it, to make a short story long, when you get it, make sure you go over it. Just take the props off, put some glue on it, let it sit for a day, make sure everything is okay, and enjoy your plane. Because I can't enjoy mine. So I'm gonna go online and see if I can find parts for this. Thank you guys for coming out.
Hi, Karen. Watch this. Can you do this? Yes, but I don't think it's very ladylike.